Hello, ladies and gentlemen. King BJ is back in the building, and you know, a lot of things going on. Um, Soaring inflation, gas prices, so-called shortages. Right? you know, everybody's short on everything but common sense, I guess. Right? You know, distractions, Pride Month, um, Juneteenth, so-called January 6 hearings, and so forth and the like. Everything's a distraction, almost like a psyop. Like it's like a big spider web matrix. So, you know, I was just looking at some things, and I said, people always been asking me when you get that brother uh Sakima Bey back on. I said, I don't know. It's no time like the present, is it? So I decided to bring one day. He's a good guy. I met him in Memphis when I was hanging out with Judge Joe Brown and Ron Hurd, and he happened to eat dinner with us, and um, or lunch actually. And we had a good time, and we exchanged numbers, and I said I'd bring him on my show, and I brought him on the show, and he's always been a beacon of light and information. So, you know, things sometimes, you move and you move to different locations. Sometimes things going on. I mean, after the so-called scamdemic or whatever, it's like you gotta get back to, you know, back on track. I mean, so things are happening. But I wanted to bring him on. I think I like to talk about as far as law, constitution, and so forth and the like. So when he comes on, we talk about a lot of things. Um, One thing I will say is that regardless of where you're from, you always can have the heart of a champion. And you win some and you can lose some. But you always can live to fight another day. So um but I'm glad to just have him come back on. Um Things have been rough for a lot of people, and I do understand. You got to put a lot of things down. You may not be able to drive as much. You may not be able to get your favorite food, or you might need to ration off some of your spending. Make them pay in the pocket. Forecasts are never easy, but they have to be done. You know, that's just the way it goes. When did the people say that enough of this? You know, I understand how people feeling right now about things. So, with that being said, got a couple other things to talk about. Oil prices going to Saudi Arabia, so-called Juneteenth, and so forth and the like. It's kind of funny today when I was talking to a guy, and the guy asked me, "What holiday do we have this weekend?" I said, "On Juneteenth." He said, "Yeah, I never heard of it." I said, "Well, there you go. Somebody's never heard of it. That means it's not relevant to a lot of people." So, not relevant to a lot of people. So, therefore, it goes. Um, yep. It's kind of funny. So, where's he at? Um, no, he's at. He should have been on by now. Also, I got to thank Hurricane Report for making me a what they call a disclaimer, so I won't get they won't be copyright striking me for things and striking me for things that are not fundamental. You know, they can't stand me anyway. After all that talk about COVID and so forth, like so, they really can't stand me. But it's okay. That's just the way it is in life. So people can't stand, you're always gonna push back. Thank you. Thank you. Well, with that being said, let me make this call because I don't know what's going on with the good brother. Um, where is he? Yeah, he's gotta be. All right, he should be on in a couple of seconds. So he should be on in a couple of seconds. He just asked me how to link in, so I sent him the link. But he should be on. So I'm glad that he's linking in. So that's pretty good. Just wanted to come on and talk about it for a little bit. Probably be on about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I ain't gonna hold him all night. Oh damn. What's wrong with my stuff? Anyway, let me bring something up while I'm waiting on him. Hopefully he'll come on while I'm sending it and doing my duties right here. Let me bring this up because I don't want to. Fair use copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance made for fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute, otherwise might be infringing. Okay. So I just wanted to play that and let y'all hear that because I'm about to bring up a topic right here. This was a great concern to me earlier, so. It's more so a concern to truckers around the country, more so than me. But you're part of it too. But one thing shuts down the.
Right now is $5.78 a gallon. Let's bring in the owner of Iron River Express. That is Austin Smith. Austin, I understand you have to spend what, $20,000 a week to fuel just 3 of your trucks. That's a lot of money. I have to assume that a lot of trucking companies, smaller ones especially, are going under. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's very true, and it's sad because so many folks are going under left and right because we can't afford to stay in business. This crisis that we're facing in the country is by far worse than anything I've ever seen in my life.
What's your prediction if diesel prices either stay where they are at over $5 a gallon or go even higher to 6, 7, and 8? What happens to our economy?
Well, this is just my humble opinion, but I foresee that we're going to have empty shelves. There's going to be larger companies out there that can stay in business that they have the funding or they've prepared for this, but all of these small trucking companies, which is a good portion of what moves freight across the country, is independent owners. They're going to go under, and if we go under and we can't afford to move freight, you're going to see a lot of empty shelves. You're going to see, this is again just my opinion, but
sure,
I think we're going to see a lot of panic, a lot of chaos, because people aren't going to be able to get the basic necessities.
Can we go back to your business? You got to spend $20,000 in a week just to fill up 3 trucks. That's an enormous amount of money. Do you pass that?
It is.
Do you pass that price increase on to your customers?
We don't set any prices for the products that we move. My business strictly is in the agricultural industry, so we move agricultural products. So we have, we don't.
What's going on, brother man?
Yeah.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I just got a short time.
Oh, well, let me get right to it.
Yes, sir.
Let me get right to it since I was talking about it. How long you got?
30 minutes. I got at least 30 minutes.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Because let me just break it down and we try to break it in increments, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So what I was just playing for the people was a clip of the diesel prices going up, and the guy was saying basically that if he's spending $20,000 a week on diesel, and if he had to spend if it goes up to $6 or $7, he's gonna go under. He talked about all the independent trucking companies around the country.
Yeah, that's that click you sent me. Link you sent me.
Yeah. And if you could just break it down, since you say you're on limited time, what do you think about what's your perspective on this thing? Because they're saying inflation. They keep on talking about Russia. It's Putin's price hike. This is already done. This is part of the Build Back Better agenda, right? That stimulus, remember?
Yeah.
So they keep on telling you it's from Ukraine, but Russia, Ukraine, that's not what it is.
They ain't got nothing to do with it. Biden just went up, so-called planning to go over to talk with the Saudi Arabia. That's not to ask for oil. He's going over there to ask them to play along with the artificial fake narrative that we're trying to get gas from them, we're trying to get oil from them, that they're trying to work a deal out. None of that stuff is true. What he's trying, what the intention of Biden administration is to, the goal is to purposely tear down the American economy.
That's right.
They're in a flux to rush and push it through because some Democrats of the Senate and the House who were with them are starting to abandon them, wake up, and not go for what they're doing. The military has been already put on alert for certain physical things that's going to happen. I don't know if anybody's been to D.C. lately. They put a big iron fence around the Supreme Court. They got a fence around the state capitol, and they got a fence around the White House. the executive, the legislature, and the judicial. Those are three branches of government. The Constitution, Article 1 is legislative, Article 2 is executive, Article 3 is judicial. Those three separate branches of government all have secured wire, iron fences around them with a military arm stationed around them. Because they're getting ready to go to war. Well, because the executive is Biden from stealing the election, and the legislature, Senate and House, is run or the majority Democrats. So those two are basically in lockstep. The only
question.
Yeah.
I got a good question. I know you've been talking about this executive thing, right? Branch legislative, right? And that's why they've been, you see, what you just said, everything is so on time, because I looked at it, and that's why they're trying to distract us with the January 6th so-called committee hearings, trying to distract us, deflect.
That's a total artificial false flag to manipulate. That and it's number one, it's not a law enforcement agency.
It's not.
So the only thing they can do is present what is called a criminal referral to the Department of Justice for the Department of Justice to hold Donald Trump in some type of criminal behavior, which then his team will take that to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will shoot it down that he was not involved, he was not an instigator, he was not duplicitous in any of that whole fake action. The guy is Ray Epps.
That's his name.
Right. He's an informant. From the people that I know that's in government, they told me, yeah, this guy has been an informant for the FBI since the 70s. Now, he's not the only one that was there on January 6th. They had other FBI undercover agents that Ray Epps didn't know was there. And he had people on the inside of the Capitol of the congressional police to help push this thing through to make this fake story. And if you go look at the tapes that they're not showing you on the mainstream media, is when the congressional police inside the Capitol open the doors and let the people in.
That's right.
They just let them in. And they're walking around. They're not destroying nothing. They're just walking through, except for that one guy that went to Nancy Pelosi's office and they destroyed it. Well, those people were part of the FBI under the agents. So this is all an attempt to try to not let Donald Trump run for office in 2020.
Question. Got a good question here. Keep talking about Supreme Court and all that, right?
Yeah.
Now, by the definition of what you just told me, so-called insurrection, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
By the Democrats' own terms, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't what they doing out in front of the Supreme Court, Kavanaugh and all this outside of the Supreme Court with the blockades and all that, wouldn't that be called an insurrection too?
Yeah.
By that language?
Right. See, that's a constitutional violation because it's an act of treason. Really, more so than an act of treason, it's an act of sedition.
Okay.
It's a seditious act. What's they haven't tried? No, since they haven't went after people in this country with sedition since the 1600s, and then after the up to the Civil War, 1861. But that's still constitutional law, and it still exists, and it can be done. The problem is the congressional faculty majority is Democrat. The executive is a Democrat. So those three branches, out of the three, two are the Democrats. So the only one left This is why they're threatening him. This is why they went to his house, because they're trying to intimidate him, because they're going to rule against Roe versus Wade.
Which is not an abortion. It just sends it back to the states.
That's right. Because Roe versus Wade has never, ever been a law. See, what they did, if you pay attention, if you look at what the Democrats did just a week ago, where they tried to push a vote to force Roe versus Wade to be a law. And Democrats ruled against it and shot that down. See, they should have done that years ago. But they couldn't even get it through. So when they couldn't get it through, then they all got mad. So then they went and set up a protest, or sent this guy to go to Kavanaugh's house, and he got caught and all this kind of stuff.
Well, that's a problem, but they don't want to so-called condemn or tell this guy that, or say, hey, the Attorney General, hey, look, man, what's going on here, right? Like, isn't that kind of odd that you go all crazy over January 6th, but you don't go all crazy over this?
Right, because you got to understand, what is the ultimate goal? We have to stop. The majority of our people have to stop looking at what Biden is doing, Kamala, and all of what the Democrats is doing, and saying they're incompetent, they're dumb, he's senile, he's old. All of that may be true, but that's not what they're doing. He's following an agenda script.
Marxist.
On purpose. And what he's doing is deliberate. He's deliberately trying to destroy the economy. He's deliberately trying to destroy the economic system in America.
The stock market yesterday went down big, remember?
Big time. And it's going to do it again. Cryptocurrency, anybody that got any money in cryptocurrency, get that shit out. Because like I've been telling people when it first came out, first of all, cryptocurrency is another medium of exchange that has not been voted on through Congress. In other words, cryptocurrency is not constitutional. Yes, I have a copy of that executive order that Biden put out to explore, to discuss how to bring cryptocurrency into the mainstream. He can't do that. It's unconstitutional on its face. It's a smokescreen. It's a fraud. It's a fake. So everybody that's going to buy cryptocurrency that are millionaires in crypto, out here in the real world, you're just a regular person. But they're walking around like I'm a millionaire in crypto. The cryptocurrency has been established only to be able to go inside King BJ's house, to manipulate his mind, to go in his mattress, his safe, or somewhere in his wall that he hid money, to bring that out, to go invest it into this digital currency that is not going to last. If you do that, this is the last hurrah for the Democrat, communist, Marxists to steal what you have left in your house.
Pretty interesting, ain't it?
This is how they're doing it. This crypto is what it is. It's not going to last. The best thing to do, go buy gold and silver. Now, do not go through these the Liberty dollar.
Uganda the other day just found 320,000 tons of gold in their country, man.
They've already had that.
Well, they already had it, but
they just announced it.
Did you think the U.S. could try to take it from them?
Well, that's why they went over there in Hotel Rwanda and all that other stuff, starting all the wars with our people over there, because they got their own gold reserve. And see what Gaddafi was doing. He had contacted every African country government president, and they had a meeting, And then he said, let's establish our own gold repository. So that means every country in Africa was getting ready to to go and trade amongst each other, making their gold repository their security. Like the dollar is the security for America, the gold reserve for Africa would have been their gold. Well, what would have happened? They would have become the second most powerful country next to China and America. As far as gold with not China, with I think it's Germany. Yeah, I think it's Germany. Germany was number one, and I think if Africa did it, they'd have started out at number 2, and they'd have surpassed everybody in the world.
Well, one thing about Africa, Sakima, and I've been realizing this. They were told to break away from Russia, but they told Biden, we keeping our pact with Russia.
Because Russia, that's right, go ahead.
Other countries are not abandoning Russia either.
Nope.
And Putin's approval rating in his own country is 80%.
That's right. And see, people don't even, the real story with this Ukraine thing, Ukraine used to be a part of Russia before the Bolshevik Revolution.
That's right.
Now, I'm 60. I just turned 60 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So the majority of people that are probably on here don't even know nothing about the Bolsheviks. Number 2, the majority of people on here are not old enough to remember when Russia was called USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic, where it was a strict Soviet nation, strict socialist nation. They had grown up. I remember in 5th and 4th grade, pictures that we would see in school and on the news. That's when we had real journalists. They had, the generic stuff that we have in the supermarkets over here, like generic macaroni and milk, powdered milk. They had the black and white boxes of products.
All right.
They had,
No, go ahead, because I'm going to ask another question so you're done. Go ahead.
Over in Russia, that's what they had on their shelves. Government-controlled food. Eggs, powdered eggs, milk. They didn't have an abundance. When Gorbachev came to America when Reagan was president, he asked Reagan, could he take him to a grocery store in America? When he went to a grocery store in America, he saw an overabundance of food that his people had always been telling him about what was going on in America that was not in Russia. So the Bolsheviks, which was prior to Reagan, back in the 50s and the early 60s, began to revolt. Now, I wasn't born until 62, but they began to revolt. And they fought because of the conditions of Russia was like what Venezuela had. You remember Venezuela recently? How they had no food and no baby hygiene products and all that kind of stuff. Well, that was Russia. What?
Well, 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me say something about that.
Go ahead.
Get back to Russia in a second. Now, as you know, you're 60 years old. You've been around 30, 25 more years than me. Right? Let's put it real. In all your life, have you heard of baby formula shortage, tampon shortage, chicken shortages, shortage here, shortage there? Everybody got shortage of everything with common sense, and they pick and choose what item they got. But over there in Mexico, they got baby formula. And then Popeye Chicken the other day just said that they're going to sell more chickens to eat for their 50th anniversary. But if you told me you had a chicken shortage, well, chicken wing shortage actually, but you can't be that short on chicken if you got chicken in your sale. So you don't have a shortage. You're rationing off products, almost like that bread line thing in the Great Depression line. You're rationing off goods and services.
You heard they've been burning up food meat processing plants, right?
Yes. Matter of fact, it was a pork processing plant in Smithfield Foods that closed in California like the other day or the day or something.
What they're doing with the baby formula, my partner that's in special operations in the Air Force, they're putting COVID, the vaccine into the baby formula in powder form and milk form.
Okay.
That's why they pulled them. They pulled them off all the shelves. So they can't get the people to be so afraid they're going to inoculate their baby. So they're going to force it with the new children. They're putting it in the baby formula.
Smart. Now, let me say something about that. Now, when you were coming up, it was nothing to see a woman breastfeeding a child out in public, was it? No.
Nope.
So
all the time.
Maybe we need to get back to nature.
Yeah. But our people are dead. See, we're dead. We're dead, man. See, the only people that's awake, that's really about the transformation back to.
Hold on one second. No, I ain't gonna. Hold on. Give me a second, brother. I'm doing all right. Oh. Yes, send it to. No, send it to me. I'm doing a show with Sakima Bey. That's why I sent it to you early. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Go ahead, brother. I thought he was watching and wanted to ask you a question, but it's okay.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
They put that stuff in the formulas, and this is how they're going to inoculate the new generation of children. That's what this is going on there. So that's what's happening. The other thing is, I'm trying to remember my thought, what I was just talking about.
Got it.
Oh, black people are dead. The only people that is truly awake, that have transcended, become enlightened at this moment, are the people that's on this show. And other places. Yeah, your show, we are the only people that's really can see.
The rest of the question, man. I know you know Dick Gregory.
Yeah.
He said, once you put the magic glass on, you can't take them off, right?
Right.
Well, I'm gonna see a lot of things. I had something happen today. And the guy said, Bernard, he said, Bernard, we got a holiday coming up. I said, yeah. He said, what is it? I said, oh yeah, Juneteenth. He said, yeah. He said, I didn't never really hear about it. There's a lot of black people that ain't heard about Juneteenth, brother. What is that about?
There's a lot of people that haven't heard what?
About Juneteenth.
Ooh.
So, hey, wow. People didn't even know it's a holiday next week.
Yeah, and see.
It's actually on Sunday, on Father's Day.
Yeah, I wouldn't even see that. It's a distraction. It's a distraction.
Now, let me ask you a question. I know you've been substitute teaching. I know you've been doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the number one topic in the news a couple weeks ago was abortion. A month ago. Yeah. Roe versus Wade bans off our bodies. Have you ever seen such food women fighting to abort their babies? Or fighting to abort other people's babies, really? Right.
Because you got to understand, man, there's a lot more since Kevin Samuels died, and there's a lot of women that don't like.
Women Kevin Samuels too, brother.
I know, but the thing is, our women, the majority of our women, there's a small segment, especially the ones here, they woke. And they're all over the country in pockets, who get it. The women have bought in. our women, the African American woman, the majority of them, not all of them, have bought in to this ideology. The African American woman is the only woman on the planet who has a government that is her enforcer, that's behind her, that supports her. She can lie and say that I raped her, and they'll come and arrest me. Or she can say I hit her, they'll come and arrest me. She'll have sex with another man when we're married or in a relationship, get pregnant, and make me think it's my baby until some years later we find out it was never my baby. She's the only one that will do something like that because the government supports her. It will, if whatever she say I did, they will come and get me. They will come take my money. It is the only government in the world that does that for this woman. No other government in the world, the Italian government, the German government, the Swiss, the French, no government in the world does that to their women anywhere but America. So there's a delusion that's going on.
Now let me bring up.
So they bought into this.
Let me bring up something else here. All right. So we brought that up. Now, Sakima, so they had a big time march over the weekend, 450 rallies across the U.S. talking about children having gun rallies. Now, let me ask you a question. How can you sit up there and say that you for children, right? But you're for abortion, which is actually killing children. But then you say we want to protect our kids for the right, and they had a March for Our Lives coalition. Who backed the agenda March for Our Lives? They talk about LGBTQ, a lot of stuff in there too.
Yeah.
They got a mission statement.
Yeah.
Okay. They talk about immigrant protections too. But here's the thing. March for Our Lives are nonprofit. And the way these devils getting away with this is using a nonprofit to fund an agenda that they really want to pass. And you donate to the nonprofit and you make them rich. That's BLM. March for Our Lives, all these coalitions got people like Soros and all them back. Now, let me ask you a question, because, we had a thing in Buffalo and then we had a thing in Uvalde, right? What are your thoughts on all these mass shootings, they call them? Some of them to me, psyops.
Oh, no question. My partner told me, and see, he's in the Air Force and he's special forces. And he was, when the 9/11 hit, he said we knew that was going to happen 3 weeks before it happened. And when the day it happened, none of that stuff happened. It wasn't even planes. It was remote control drones that looked like planes. That's why they had to snatch all the camera footage for the surrounding businesses that had cameras showing that at the Pentagon, other places, all that stuff.
Somebody got a question for you.
What's the question?
Psyops, false flags. Why haven't we heard about the survivors?
There was none. There was no daggone. Where was the luggage that would hit the building? Because it's at the bottom of the plane. Some luggage should have been on the ground. Some clothes, some suitcases, some bodies, some people, burnt people. Angela Stanton was talking about this the other day. She's the rep out of Georgia.
Yeah, I know.
So it was all fake. It's all fake. It's all distraction. So they are trying to prevent all of your people on your show who have broke the program, spiritually transcended, have become enlightened, and their eyes are open, and they're continuing to cultivate their goddess energy inside of them. And that's what they're trying to prevent. But it's not going to work.
Well, let me ask you another question, since you said that. Because when I look at this Buffalo thing, right? False flags, things do happen to real people, but I look at it also in a context of, I don't I think this guy just rode no 200 miles. That guy either had been living there, and then the guy said I saw him yesterday. So some crisis acting involved. Could have been some real things, but some crisis acting definitely involved. And then I look at the people who talking, crunk, shopping, the same usual suspects on the scene. Then we got Uvalde, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saying a teacher opened the door for some air. But 2 days earlier, they were running active shooter drills in the same school. And they were playing dead. So how do we know this for the whole script?
Just like Sandy Hook, it's all a controlled narrative that they won't let into the mainstream to be discussed. In this circle, in this mainstream, they have this on the minds of the people that believe them. MSNBC, CBS, ABC, Joy Reid, Don Lemon, all of these fools who are totally blind and ignorant. And this new girl, who's the spokesperson.
Oh, the LGBTQ lady kept like that.
So these people have no idea. They have no clue. They really believe that they have got to where they are because of their abilities. And it's not true.
Well, they didn't open the door for her because they said she's the first Black and LGBTQ president.
Oh yeah, they had to do that for her, but she's still ignorant. She's reading every day. She's reading from some book of notes that she wrote. Nothing's authentic here. She has nothing here that's authentic. She's not projecting an intelligent so-called Black woman. She's a puppet. She's a pure puppet.
Speaking of puppets, let's talk about one. We got one over there in Copenhagen named Barack Obama. He's out there talking about the scourge of disinformation. We got to stop disinformation, racism, sexism, homophobia, and all this stuff. He was over there talking about it and all that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, over the last 2 months, Barack Obama's been running around talking about we need to stop disinformation. No, you're trying to stop us. You lying. You're trying to stop us.
Right. He's trying to stop
disinformation because y'all are some of the biggest arbiters of disinformation.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of so-called Black people who are not Black. They're white. And there's a lot of white people that are not Black. Dr. Delbert Blair has brought that out. Been teaching that for years. Bobby Hemmett talks about that. Because of what I deal with the government officials, I meet some of these people in government. And they don't come out and tell me I'm Black, white. I detect and I'll say something. And spiritually, they have they have our skin, but they're all this, and vice versa. They be pale.
Wait a minute. Is it like the movie Get Out?
Just look, the movie Get Out is a true story. I'm originally from the Bronx, where I was born. I'm original American Indian and all that stuff, Choctaw. But I remember growing up, the older guys in the neighborhood said, "Do not," because I got cousins live in Catskill. Well, and Catskill is the capital of New York. My cousins lived. They lived in a house on a cul-de-sac. They lived 3 blocks from the state capitol. And when I would go up there to talk and go up there to visit when I was growing up, and then when we got to be teenagers, they would, because there was 4 of them. The 2 younger ones, we were around the same age. The 2 older ones, we would be taught, and they would say, we can't let you go nowhere because they are up here killing people, cloning them, and taking their brains. This was known. My cousins knew it. Huh?
Have we been cloned?
No, you know, but you would know. It's like Bobby.
Not us. Not the most.
Oh, a lot of us. Yeah, a lot of us have. A lot of us have. So this is real. This was going on up in New York. That's where they was killing the so-called witches with Niagara Falls. And because the women that were there were all the original American dark complected American Indian women that were living up there who were into the metaphysics, like Bobby Hemmett was talking about, and the stuff Dr. Blair was talking about. That's what they were. So they were killing those women, throwing them off the falls and stuff. They were literally cutting their brains out, just like in the movie Get Out. That is upstate New York is where that all happened, and that is true. So I would say I was blown away when the movie was actually done in upstate New York.
You say you were blown away, huh?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question, man. Because you didn't have a lot of time, so I just want to ask you a couple things. So you say we need to going forward, we need to hold tight, or we need to
we got
food, water. What's on your mind?
If you got any assets in the bank, better get them out. 5 figures. I mentioned it before. Go take out, start taking money out, cash, bring it home, putting it in your house, and start putting with the physical assets like your car, your house, your boat, your plane, your bus in a trust. Get everything out of your name legally. You got to start doing that because they're going to come confiscate that because in law, Black people or African American people don't exist in law. They never existed. In the history of the earth, there's no race of people with a landmass called Black land, nor African American land. So these people don't deserve constitutional protection, privileges, immunities, and can be racially profiled and can be shot down because they're calling themselves something that don't exist.
Then I got another one thing actually about these soaring gas and inflation too. I want to ask you one thing about that. What would you be some suggestions? I got some suggestions. Just don't drive as much and go away and daggone stay. Keep it close to the vest. If you got a carpool, back when you was younger, people used to carpool, do things, and down here in Richmond, Virginia. We never heard of. When I was younger, I wouldn't even rent an apartment if it was over $600. That was $600 I got out, right?
Yeah,
you probably can't find an apartment. The average rate of an apartment in Richmond is $1,400 now. Like, there's soaring rent prices and stuff. Some places $2,000 just rent a 2-bedroom. This is kind of crazy, right? What do you think?
See, the goal is to destroy the economy of America.
And call the foreclosure crisis.
In all aspects, right. Housing, food, employment, producing goods, producing products, transporting them. They want the American people to be in the street like homeless people with nothing. Zero. Nothing.
He said you will own nothing to be happy.
Huh?
It's what Kyle Swan said. You own nothing to be happy.
Well,
I know you're gonna like because I want to bring this up. Got to bring it up because I know you ain't gonna let time. I got to bring this up. What do you think? What's your thoughts on this so-called the so-called monkeypox, man?
That's fake. Now, when I say fake, it's not spreading. It's not getting on people. It's something that they manufactured. And they're spraying on people. See, the other thing is what I was mentioned earlier, what I said I forgot. See, the reason why Putin went into that country is because that used to be a part of Russia. The Bolsheviks revolted because of the conditions of the country under the USSR, which Russia used to be called USSR. So did China. China used to call the Chinese Socialist Republic of China, CHSRS something R. When Russia changed, China stayed. When they saw the benefits or the lack of ability to conquer and keep communism alive in China, they changed from the CHSR to just China, because Russia changed from USSR to just Russia. They started allowing American business into China, into Russia, which changed the economy. brought it up. There's still some tenets of it. China is, on the other hand, is when they changed to just China, they did so, but they are controlling all the businesses. North Korea, same way. So when the Bolsheviks broke up, they had this war in Russia. They broke away and they created this. They put a border and created the country called Ukraine. Well, what the Democrats did from that time period, worked with the government of Ukraine to establish corruption outside the door of Russia. So one day that they could move into Russia to take over Russia, to make this one world government. Putin is against the one world government. China, the Ping, what is it? Xi Jinping is for the one world government because they think that they're going to run it. So what Putin did, what they found out with this Biden thing, when Trump was president, he asked the new president of Ukraine, who was not a puppet. They voted that puppet out, and he started to investigate things in Ukraine, and they found out that they had over 250 warehouse installations, biological warehouse installations that were manufacturing all these drugs.
They admitted today. You can pull them on Google. They admitted today.
Okay. 2 is a big pedophile ring headquartered in Ukraine. So what the goal was to get to implement, once they take over America, they were coming to Russia next through Ukraine. So when Putin found out all of these disease facilities, they formulated a plan and they went in and took over Ukraine to clean up those facilities. They've been burning them up, bombing them. They're catching the people that are pedophiles in the installations, and they're recording who these people are. Which brings in this thing with Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner is being held as a political pawn. She's being taken care of. She's being fed good, but they're not letting her go home no time soon because Putin is using her as a tool against Biden. See, if Trump would have got in, Trump was going to go into Ukraine economically and judicially without war. He was going to do the bidding for cleaning up Ukraine for Putin because of the corruption with Biden. But because they stole it from Trump, Putin had to act. That's why he went into Ukraine. And a lot of people died. And some of our dumbass so-called black people in America got on planes to fly to Ukraine to help the damn Ukrainians fight Russia.
Now, that was crazy. You know why? Because Putin has said that you come over as a mercenary, you are not a POW, and you will not be captured. You will be put to death on the spot.
And that's good. Put their ass to death. That's like me, and I live down the street from you, and you got problems in your house. I said, I'm going to go down there. Fuck that. I'm going down there, and I'm going to tell King BJ he better stop acting like this in his house. And I come in your house and try to tell you what the fuck to do. That's insane. That's what they're trying to do. But and if you listen to what Putin said at the very beginning, before he even went into Ukraine, he said, Ukraine.
Let me bring one guy in right quick. He just want to say hi to you, I guess. You know, let him go on. Just say hi. What's going on, Shaq?
Man, peace and blessings, man. What up, Sakima, man? You're dropping it, man. You dropping the hot llama, man. Hey, yeah. Tell them about the contract that's ended with the United States corporation, man. The contract, the treaty has ended. They scrambling.
See what they doing? Well, with that, the United States of America corporation ended operation in 1979. From 1979 until today, the fourth United States in law has been operating, which is called the Administrative Office of the United States of America. The first president was Jimmy Carter. So from Jimmy Carter to today, we've been under what is called the Administrative United States of America. That's why it's called the Carter administration, the Biden administration, the Trump administration, the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, the Reagan administration. That's why it's called the administration. We haven't been under the corporation, United States of America, since 1979. And because we're now under the administrative government, which is the administration, all the assets of the economy have been put into a receivership. They appointed the United Nations to be the trustee for the economy of the United States, and they put that into a receivership. So they're selling off the assets of the economy to pay the investors or to steal the money by some foreign investors. That's why there's a shortage of this. There's a shortage of that. There's none of this. They're burning up food companies, the meat processing plants. They're burning up chicken plants. They're burning up all this warehouses because the economy of America has been set and put into receivership. Not the land, the economy, and people who haven't corrected their status to be what the law provides for so-called black people, American Indian Moors, which ain't got nothing to do, not no Moors of these Moorish organizations, none of that shit. Mm-hmm. But American Indian, because in law, you got two types of Indians. You got the American Indian, then you have the Native American Indian. The American Indian looked like you before the turn of the century. Dane Calloway brought up very correctly in 1868, 3 years after the Civil War, the Dawes Commission came in and announced that that Caucasians can now call themselves Native Americans. But they had to go to this Dawes Commission, pay $5, and their names were put on the rolls to become the Native American Indian, which are the fake Indians, to be able to manipulate and steal the land. And we're so far behind. We're so out of order. We're so dense and ignorant to these facts. We're just going to lose if we don't get this stuff in place to fix who we are. Because those people, Obama did set aside about 750 million acres before he left, land to be returned to the American Indian Moors, not the Native American Indians. And not no damn Moors, part of the Moorish Science Temple, all these other Moorish organizations, none of that. This is, and the American Indian Moor and the Native American Indian are two separate Indians in 83 Code of Federal Regulations, and it tells you the two different types. And there's
what's the name of the dirty Moors?
Dirty Moors, ignorant Moors, criminal Moors.
It's a name. Oh man, dude, drop the name, man. I think it started with a T.
Not Tony Moors.
Tony Moores, right? That's
well, those, because remember now, like Dr. Clark said, if the Moors of Africa would never fought the Moors of Spain, we wouldn't be in this, because the people that, when the Moors lost control of Europe and lost control of Spain, 1492, that was a Moorish military entity. Everybody in that military were Moors. Dr. Clark talks about it. He brings up in his lectures. And when you go and get this book right here, this book And where's it at? Oh. The Moors after Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to see, I got it sitting over here on my shelf. Oh yeah, here it is. By Stan Lane Poole. That's his name, Stanley Poole. And see, in these books, and along with this one,
Trying to get the snapshot. I can't see it.
By David McRitchie.
David McRitchie.
Ancient and Modern Britain. It's a 2-volume book. It's 2 volumes.
Mm-hmm.
This is volume 1, and this is volume 2. Volume 2, that's volume 1 by David McRitchie. That's a white boy from Ireland.
Well, let me bring something up I wanted to bring up in here.
Yeah.
Sakima, you've been rocking this thing, and I know you told me something, but I want to bring something in because you told me this. Me and you had a conversation. You say you've been doing some substitute teaching, right?
Right.
I mean, you don't got to elaborate too much if you don't want to, but what is the future of this teaching, man? Because, I mean, they in Baltimore, they got a cheating on the grade scandal. On this, they got that. They're trying to teach the children all this LGBTQ stuff in school. What is the future of public schools if not? I think we should just go ahead and get out of it, really, don't you think?
Absolutely. Get your damn children out of these damn schools. They're bringing to the elementary school in South Carolina and North Carolina. Transvestites are coming to the elementary school reading story time, dressed in transgender regalia. And then they're having transgender pageants where the little kids in elementary school, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade are come to school and dress up like a woman or a man. When the governor, one white lady in South Carolina, her son came home and asked, "Mommy, what is masturbation?" She went to the school the next day. It's a white mother. Went to the state capitol in Columbia, South Carolina, complained to the governor. This was just 5 months ago. Governor Henry McMaster, he went off. He did a news immediate news conference in the state and went off. We're getting to the bottom of this. We're not going to have this masturbation being taught to our little children. I don't understand what's going on, and I'm going to get to the bottom. He said, "I'm going to get to the bottom." And he's he's a redneck. His family, and I had some dealings with him legally before he became governor. This was years ago. His father, they made money off of prohibition and slavery and cotton and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, stuff from the slavery. Well, he was against all this stuff. He's an old-time Republican. And this is what they're doing in the public school system. Get your children out of these schools. Teach them at home, or start a school, or start your own school. Now, if you're going to start your own school, they're going to mandate now, like for charter schools, they're mandating that they have to teach certain things dealing with LGBT. Because a lot of the charter schools are not doing and will not do it. So this is what's happening with the public school. I've had to call a roll for once, and one of the teachers, when I got there that morning, the teacher said, "Mr. Bey, how you doing? I just want to let you know on your second block, you have a student by name of Arthur Stone. He goes by the name Crow. If you call him Arthur, he's not going to answer. White boy. This was 9th grade. I said, okay, so I forgot. I'm calling around. Where's Arthur? Is Arthur here? It's okay. Then it hit me. Oh, it's Crow. I said, I didn't get you're Crow? I said, okay. So I marked him here and all that kind. This is what's going on, man. This stuff is, and I'm in there and I'm seeing you got kids. I'm telling you, and in the high school, you're catching girls in the bathroom with other girls, 11th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade. They're having sex in the bathroom.
Wow.
The boys sucking each other off in the damn. Well, how do I know? I've been catching them.
Wow.
And the very first time I reported it, and I was told by one of the principals, Mr. Bey, we appreciate what you're catching them. I'll take it from here, but he was against it, but they wouldn't report it. They got my
shut down, man.
They got my report.
Wow.
This is what and this is the public school system. So,
well, look, you know what, Sakima, man? I definitely understand what you told me, and I respect what you said. And thank you for coming back on. Hey, little technical difficulty earlier, Elite. But we definitely got to do a part 2 of the thing, like you said, because in the next couple of weeks and months,
right,
be a lot of things happening.
See, school is out, so a lot of things is happening, and man, all I can say is, people, if you got money, assets, get your stuff out of your name. Well, what does that mean? That means if you got a car, you're going to have to go to the DMV, get a form for change of ownership, but you got to have an entity to put it in. You need to have a trust set up. Don't put it in your son's name. Don't put it in your daughter's name, etc. No. You have to have a separate entity to put it in. Same thing with your house. You need to so you got to get it. You got to get a trust set up. 2, the other thing is, if you have a business, your business cannot be Natural Products / King BJ. And then have a bank account with your name as the title, King BJ / Natural Products. Because what they're going to do, if they sue, they're not going to sue Natural Products. They're suing King BJ because your name is attached to the name of the business. So your name should be nowhere on the ownership. Your name should be so your name should just be an authorized user of the account.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna give you a lot of props for coming back on to the room and breaking it down like you always do. Shaq, I was about to close out. I said, let me bring you on because you asked to come on and speak to your brother one more time. But we're gonna do this again. Hopefully, we can do this again next week. As a matter of fact,
we need to know where we can go and get this information again, because we heard it. But what I'm saying, we didn't write it down, so we heard it. So how?
What you mean? What information?
How can we? What you just said about going to the DMV, and you said a change of what? Yeah. What can you? Because we need to get that more, and it need to be repetition. We need to hear it more, at least once a week.
Well, yeah. If you own any assets, your house, your car, or a business, none of them should be in your personal name. LLCs, S Corps, C Corps, sole corporations, none of those things. Exclusively protect your assets from taxation. There's another entity that I put together for people to set their businesses, and you can operate the business like a spiritual order, not a church, but a spiritual order that you're raising fallen humanity, and part of the business is to give back. Well, you can have a natural, or let's say, for example, natural line products where you're producing what? Lotions, hair creams, body oils, and in a portion of your business, you have to give back to the community. Well, how do you do that? Once a month, or once a week, once every 2 weeks, or or twice a month, you have some type of function that you give something to the community for free. Because the way I set it up, it would be a business, but it's under nonprofit status. So it doesn't pay any taxes because it's doing the work for humanity. And it can buy, own, apply for loans, operate just like a regular business, but people don't know about this particular type of business, which is a spiritual entity, which they use, and there's 13 main states that have it. What I need to do, hold on a second.
This is important, Bernard. This stuff is important because we need to really prepare. Because I told you, there's some things coming down the pike, man. That man.
BJ, I put together a bunch of these by my law school that I told you that I set up, and it's called the business plan. It's a spiritual order, and I made these that explains what that is, and every state has a statute that allows for it. The majority, we just don't know what it is. So, like for example, my ex-wife, she had a raw food business in Columbia, South Carolina, and she had it for about 8 years till we broke up. And then next thing I know, 3 months later, she lost the business. They raised the rent. She didn't want to pay the $500 extra, paying $1,500 a month rent. Beautiful place. We had it all hooked up. The new owner raised it $500. She didn't want to pay that. This is after we broke up. She didn't want to pay it, but she could have compensated by doing lectures and all these other kind of things to bring extra money. Wasn't hurt. Just didn't want to do that. Business closed down. Now she's back to doing it in her house. Got a little food truck and trying to get that on the road to operate the business in that way. She was operating the restaurant for about 8 years. No taxes, legal, making money. So this is what it does and how it's set up to be able to do that. So this is what is needed for us establishing business, or you already have an existing business. You just have to restructure it, which means you may have to terminate that name with the state, create a new name, and set this whole thing up in the same format, doing the same thing, but in a different way. And all you have to do is an annual report. Whatever you take in, you keep the receipts every month for what you bought. Well, you spent $7,000 this month. You got $7,000 of receipts for buying product. That goes on the annual report at the end of the year. All the extra money belongs to the business. And the business owns the car, the house, and the bank account. So whatever you buy, the business buys. You no longer buy nothing. The business buys the whole. You want to take your wife out? Buys the hotel. You want to go on vacation? Pays for the plane tickets. Pays for the hotel. Pays for the food. You keep the receipts because you got to account for that at the end of the year. Just like you do a regular business. But the difference is there's nothing to pay. You just turn in it's an annual report that you do. You staple the receipts. It's sequential to each month. They go to the report, send that into the state. It has to balance, match. You're off and running. That's the short version. So these are some of the things that we have to do. And because now, when all of these other things close down, you got to be able to create something. Well, we're only going to be able to deal with ourselves. You know, barter. Well,
barter systems. Yep.
Yes.
Right. So, and the main thing for everybody is got to have food. Because we don't have real food now. We got Franken food.
Frankenstein, lab made.
Franken food. That's what we got. Man. And so, you know, it provokes and instills an addiction in us. And we're not meditating because we're running to the church, which is all, you know. So we're messed up.
Hey, you know what? We got a friend of ours. He said there's only 2 jobs in the hood that make you money: the church and a politician.
And to see where things is going, the government is going to. Well, the Democrats are trying extremely hard to make it where the government controls your life. Yep. It gives you what to eat. It gives you what to wear. It gives you what to drive. It tells you where you can go. The movie 1984, Orson Welles. That's what they're trying to do.
Right. Absolutely. 1984. Yep.
Well,
how can people get in contact with you, man? To get this information more.
Give it to him, man. Yeah, give it to him. Well, how they can get in contact with Sakima Bey? I already know, but you know.
Yeah, because Bernard, this is a great show, man. This might take you. Well, if they ain't blocking you, hating them, man, it can take you to the top. You know.
But I don't make every day, so it doesn't even matter. It's kind of like irrelevant.
Y'all should be. I don't know if y'all should be able to read that.
It's blurry on my side, but
I can see it.
But no, I can text it to me. He can text the information to me because I see.
I can screenshot. Yeah, let me see my number. The number is
803, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same number you've been having?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah, that's it. You put it in the chat?
Yep.
Yeah.
8952.
Yeah. But when you call, because I don't know you, I don't know who's calling me, text me, tell me who you are, so I can know, because you know how you get all these damn numbers, selling you health machines and walkers and all kind of.
Yeah, they've been on, man. They've been on a lot lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody's gonna contact you from my show. I know you had other people contact you and sometimes get information. So at least one of the bunch of contact you. I just think you were coming on, and like I said, I went to Memphis 2 years ago, and I was just I was with Brother Ron and Judge Joe Brown, and it just so happened he got in the restaurant, and we had a nice talk, and we had to remember the lady I had recording us and stuff like that.
Yeah. How's she doing?
Yeah, she's doing all right. We talk about all this crazy stuff in the world. She says she can't understand what's going on. But
yeah, real quick, for the sisters that's watching this, stop trying to make sense of this governmental construct because it's established to not make sense and to keep you pushing, fighting to try to make sense of it. It's not designed to make sense.
No, it's designed to be opposite of sense.
It's the opposite.
That's why I said earlier.
Right, because
everybody got a shortage on something except they claim common sense, but actually a lot of people have a shortage on common sense.
Right. So, and the sisters overall believe in this system because they want things out of it.
Shaq, I'm gonna allow you to say it on my show. Go ahead and say it, Shaq. What you always say. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it on my show. I'm gonna get
Kevin Samuels come back.
You always say Kevin Samuels come back.
Hey, that's my hashtag.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of sisters. I've been noticing a lot of sisters on YouTube, white girls having podcasts with mixed guests, talking about the exact same things that Kevin was talking about.
Absolutely.
There's a guy that everyone should start listening to. He's from Canada. He's a white guy. He's a clinical psychologist. Since I've been watching him, I've been studying him for the past couple of years. His name is Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah, I know you.
Jordan.
All right. And because of him, I started investigating to become a clinical psychologist. Okay. That's how powerful on the rationale of things that he's dealing with. He has an impact on me and others. You know, there's others too. But yeah. All
right. Well, look, this is what I'm gonna say to people. This is my take on things. Stay out of large crowds. Watch where you're going. You could be in the middle of a false flag and you don't know it.
Don't even know it.
Mass shooting. You don't know whether it's real or fake. Or some people, with that false flag, real people do die. But because like the brother out there in Buffalo, right? His name was Salter. The reason he got messed up because he was trying to make that water-powered car. So you got to always understand.
And hydrogen something engine, yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to make a hydrogen engine. And you know, they want to make electric cars. So they're not going to let you make no hydrogen and buy a car when they try to make electric cars.
Right. Now, there's a guy, M. says, what about race and ethnicity form from the U.S. personal management? Don't do none of that. Don't fill none of that out.
That's it. That's your number, 803-320-8952. Big Jimmy Turner says 1984 was required reading back in the day.
Yep, it was a book by H.G. Wells, and then they made it a movie. So anyway,
yep, that's right. But I just want to say this is a great show, Sakima. How about maybe next week you come back again?
We can work on that.
Maybe I'll look into it.
Do a longer one.
And we're gonna bring some of these things, these Supreme Court codes, and we're gonna bring a couple of things into play. Shaq, I'm gonna invite you on the full time next time. This was kind of like just a gloss over, you know. But we're gonna get this thing all down and possibly get a couple of things. But I just want y'all to have a great night and keep it the fight, man. Because like he said, the enlightened ones, re-see it.
We the only ones that's going to be
free thinkers. Re-see it.
Yeah, like Bobby Hemmings say, it's only us in here because we the only ones that's talking about it. Everybody else is accepting it and going along with it.
I got a saying, Sakima, and I took it out of the scripture. It says in the scripture that the dragon, the devil, whatever, took 2/3 of the stars, right? That's 66%, right? If you take that down and then you look at, they say 1/3 left, right? 33%.
Okay. Orvin Wells, the brother corrected me. Orvin Wells.
Okay, 1/3, right? But if you take out 2/3, you have 1/3, 33%. That'd be a balance of 1% who is really trying to write the whole script. The 1%. Don't worry, I'm not talking about the puppets and stuff. I'm talking about the 1% and 33%. And at 33%, I'm looking at can see what's going on, but you got another whole section over there, 66%, that don't see it. And you know they always say people perish from lack of knowledge, and when you have that big of a gap, a lot of things gonna happen.
You know what?
You may not intended to.
Yeah, Sakima, I wish you. I don't know, man. I know. I probably know your opinion on this Pan-African. What you think about these blacks that's pushing this Pan-African stuff, man? I mean, we can talk about it next time.
Yeah,
people need to know.
Before the deluge, The deluge. That's the flood. Everything was one. Everything that is called Africa was over here. We are the original beings, but everything started here. All the pyramids that they found in America are older than the pyramids over there in Egypt, in Africa, and everywhere else. In the Grand Canyon,
say it loud.
In the Grand Canyon, they found an 80-foot statue. This was back in early 2000, late 90s. They found a statue of an 80-foot statue of a Buddha with the Bindu knots hair, locks, and the features were pronounced black in the damn Grand Canyon, and they blocked that off so people can't go down there. They've also found a pyramid in that same cave in the Grand Canyon. So we've always been here. We are that people. They sister like Dane Calloway has brought out very, very professionally. Yeah, they changed who we are on paper, and we don't have
genocide.
Right. And today we don't have the proper etiquette skills to yield that weapon to determine how to reclaim our culture, our name, and our government.
All right. Well, let me just say this, brother. We're gonna find when we come back on, I'm gonna let you and Shaq basically have the floor and break this thing on down. I might even daggone sit there with my listening ears on, and relax. But yeah, y'all take your time. And Shaq, just get at me later. Sakima.
All right, peace.
Come on the next few days, and we're gonna try to get the thing done. Yeah,
we'll see ya. It's your boy.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all.
Bye.